The village of Mornington was growing steadily. Its king, the dog, had just begun work on a brand new district to help the village grow into a grand city, but an epic tale of intrigue and war was about to begin. With the new canal district, Mornington had become full of delinquents who mill about causing trouble. And so the king penned a letter to the continent's most renowned adjudicator.
Judge Treason, I need you to come and help me govern the town of Mornington. As we grow, our village spirit has been lost, and so we must bring in rules and law to keep the peace. Please travel to Mornington with haste. Very well. I grow tired of this plain city. Mythandros is too peaceful, and I miss my younger days when I would take on challenges. Gertrude, prepare a caravan for travel. You can see our destination on this letter here.
And so, Judge Treason was on his way to Mornington. Upon arrival to Mornington, Judge Treason rallied a band of soldiers to enforce the law.
Soldiers, you have been picked for your loyalty to Mornington. That same thirst for justice will be the very foundation of the Morn Law. Bring this unruly town back into the light of the dawn. Make examples of its delinquents. Act with haste, and the light of sunrise can cleanse this land of disorder.
Mr. Smith was seen in the fields, harvesting carrots. Seemingly an innocent act, but as a non-farmer this was not permitted under the Morn Law. And Judge Treason's most promising enforcer, Murphy, followed him to the market, where he was seen selling the carrots off for emeralds.
Mr. Smith, this honorable guard, Murphy Octanaris, has suggested you have been stealing crops and selling them for profit in the markets. What do you say in your defense?
My lord, this is not true. The carrots I gathered were composted for bone meal, so my friend could grow some melons, a much sweeter and more efficient crop.
It's quite clear to all of us in the court that you admit your intention to destroy food. Destruction of food is a grievous crime indeed. With your own admission, I find it quite easy to pass my judgment. For the glory of Mornington and the hungry mouths it must feed,
Please,
I must make swift the process of justice
Silence,
to
traitor!
prevent rapscallions such as yourself from bringing into disrepute the farmers of Mornington. With the power invested in me by our king, warlord of MorningCraft, great architect and bringer of dawn, and under my new Morn laws, I hereby sentence you to combat within the Colosseum.
Almost every citizen gathered in the Colosseum to watch the fate of Mr. Smith.
We are here for the punishment of Mr. Smith. Let him be an example to each and every one of you. I wish we didn't have to do this, but without a firm hand, Mornington will descend into chaos.
This is wrong. This can't be right. Kill the traitor!
It is done. Clean up the mess.
And so Mr. Smith met his end, but Sir Chapman saw only Murphy, and the fire in his eyes. Only days after the punishment of Mr. Smith, Judge Treason gathered the citizens for an announcement.
Good people of Mornington, I am pleased to introduce to you your new enforcer, Murphy. Will be in charge of the Morn Guard from this moment on.
Citizens, I will enforce the Morn Law. There will be no room for deviance or chaos in this town any longer. You have seen the punishment for those who stand in the way of the rising morn. The soldiers placed under my command will no longer sit in barracks waiting for war. They will stand on our street corners and rooftops watching and waiting. No infraction will be left unseen, no treasonous utterance left unheard.
Farmers have unionized under the MFA in response to Enforcer Murphy's harsh criminal justice reforms and the execution of Mr. Smith, a respected rural leader.
These reforms are necessary to maintain order and safety within Mornington.
In protest, the MFA has destroyed key bridges connecting rural areas to the city and burned pro-regime materials. The destroyed bridges symbolize the growing divide between the city and the rural areas.
In memory of my cousin Mr. Smith, and in defiance of Enforcer Murphy's unjust policies, we will protect our way of life.
The government has yet to respond to the separatist movement. We'll bring you updates as the situation develops.
Following the rebellion of the farmers, Murphy met with Judge Treason to discuss.
We must stamp out this rebellion. These separatists must not go unpunished.
Murphy, tensions are high. Allow them some time and keep the peace in the town. These people will come to the table.
If they do not kneel within the month, people will begin to starve. I'm constructing farms in Canalis, but we must bring them under control.
Murphy, I have seen this before. You are accused of being too harsh. Further retaliation will only prove their point.
They must fear me. I will have the Golem factory work around the clock on the creation of a new legion, an Iron Legion that will show them the strength of my hand.
On the 7th night of the rebellion, Murphy's new Iron Legion raided the farmlands. Homes and buildings were destroyed in the raid, but the rebellion was brought to a swift end. After the raid, the rest of the town reeked of a dead silence. They were not under threat, but were too scared to make a sound. As Murphy returned, he was confronted by Judge Treason.
So, Murphy, you fool. All that violence has only shown you as a tyrant.
Step aside, old man. You are only a speed bump on the way to what must be done.
I wish to strip you of your badge.
My sword stands between my badge and your frail hand.
As Murphy and Treason argued over authority, Sir Chapman sat above the kingdom and pondered the attacks.
This cannot go on. I must form a force to resist this. I will gather knights who are willing to stand up to Murphy.
Old man, you have stood in my way for too long. I am relieving the kingdom of your feeble hand. You will bend your knee to my sword.
It is so painfully obvious to me now. You are not just a fool, but a tyrant too. You may climb fast, but your fall will be just as swift. I accept my fate gracefully.
This traitor has no right to walk these streets. For too long, the great waters of Canalis have been a tributary to the meager Mornington. I declare this and our neighbors as the kingdom of Canalis. The dawn belongs to us. Soldiers, line the streets and bring me the king. People of Canalis, our kingdom is supreme. Our court rules these lands. Our barrack protects us. Our arena punishes the traitors. Our canals are the flowing bloodstream of power. Let our flag fly. Let their petty kingdom kneel in fealty to our will. Let us expand until they are crushed within our kingdom. Canalis is the jewel of power in these lands. Once we have united all of Canalis under this flag, we will expand outward toward the climbing sun. Prepare for war, as tomorrow we will dispose of their king and our ascent to the sun will begin.
With the whereabouts of the king still unknown, all of Mornington wept as Murphy's forces seized the kingdom. In the midst of a great storm, Murphy's forces began their attack on Mornington. As the king watched their approach, Sir Chapman assembled his loyal knights, the Morn Guard. Outnumbered by the Iron Legion, they took defensive positions along the castle. Murphy's raid on the town was quick and decisive, but the castle was near impenetrable. The people of Mornington looked down on their town as Murphy's soldiers raised his flag. They were a single fortress in a sea of red enemies. Murphy's soldiers had taken the watchtower, the oldest and a thrice reconstructed building, once home to the king when this was only a meadow.
Sire, we cannot hold this castle much longer. Our food supplies are running low. We must find help. I will go on horseback to the village you once visited on your adventures.
I am the Bear Prince. We rule and protect the villages of Aras. Who are you? What is your purpose here?
I am Sir Chapman of Mornington. Our king visited these lands long ago, but a dictator has attempted to seize control of our kingdom.
I remember this king from long ago. We are a small force, but we can provide support.
When you summit the mountain across the swamp, you will find a temple. From there you will see an arena.
And then?
Release the pillagers.
And not this sunset, but the next, we will open this arena you speak of.
As the sun set over Mornington, Murphy was ready for the final stages of his invasion of the castle. He had prepared artillery and hundreds of soldiers. At midnight, they would attack. As promised, the soldiers of Aras opened the arena. As the pillagers rushed from the arena, the Iron Legion was now divided between defense of Canalis and siege preparations. In fury, Murphy ordered his artillery to fire early.
If they're going to play like this, show them the strength of the Morn Law. Fire upon their castle.
The castle took an incredible amount of damage in the siege. Failing to respond properly to the pillagers, Murphy's forces had been severely depleted. Even the starved garrison of the castle would be able to finish him off.
To it. Take the castle. They are nothing compared to us. We cannot lose this battle. I'll get that wretched king. Your weakness shadows even that of Treason. Nothing can match you. I'm scared that if I fight now, I won't watch the sun rise once more. A compromise, perhaps. We burn whatever we can. And come back.
Murphy instructed his men to leave at once, and as he left, his troops razed the forest behind the farming district. As the smoke in the distance obscured the sunrise, the king looked upon his restored kingdom.
Shall we hide here? No, no. We must go further and build a proper home.
In the aftermath of the conflict, Sir Chapman and the king spoke to the citizens of Mornington.
People of Mornington, we have defeated the tyrant of Canalis and restored the unity of our great kingdom. The king has ordered a swift reconstruction of all that was damaged, and to spur us forward, he has ordered a major construction project to begin across the river. Furthermore, we will be expanding our walls and our reach over these lands, with new districts and fortresses better able to endure siege and subterfuge. From this moment, Mornington will rise as a beacon of hope and strength across the continent.
And so the planning of the largest construction project began. Gone but not defeated, Murphy sat on the shore considering his choices.
Everything hurts, but at least I'm still here. And now I see that I must keep going. Why take what is theirs now, when I can build something glorious of my own? I'm going to build my own kingdom, Octonia. My principles will create a strong and powerful society that they can stare upon with envy. And when they see the power of my ways, his own people will help me dispose of him.
And so the kingdom of Octonia was founded.
In morning's light, the world is new, a canvas fresh, a sky of blue. With dawn's first rays, our hopes ignite, a chance to start, to make things right. The hush of dawn, a peaceful song, invites us all to join along. In morning's glow, we find our way, a guiding star to light our day. For in the morning, dreams take flight, embracing day, dismissing night. With every sunrise, life renews, the morning's gift, a precious muse. At temple gates, the dawn's embrace, a sacred calm, a hallowed space. With every step, our spirits rise in reverent awe beneath the skies. The morning sun, a golden hue, bathes ancient stones in light anew. In whispers soft, the prayers ascend to skies above where heavens blend. In temple's heart, the sunrise gleams, a symbol pure of endless dreams. With each new dawn, our souls awake, a journey shared, a vow to make.
With our new wizard tower, we can mount a strong defense against any invaders. Who goes there?
It is I, the spirit of the morning itself. Since this temple was built, I have felt a strong connection to this town.
The spirit of the morning. What is it you do?
I compile hopes and dreams of a new dawn, and when the sun rises, it beats rays of energy onto those willing to dream.
Can we count on your aid in future conflict?
Humans are so funny. My work is not of war, but in bringing people together in hope.
Travel to the center of the continent. Treason once told me of a huge kingdom run by a King Olaf. Perhaps we can find an ally in our future war. We have made an agreement with King Olaf. We have begun trade with the Olufian Empire. I am to wed his youngest daughter, Princess Azalan, and in return he will provide us military support against Mornington. He has a fighting force of 2,000 men marching here and arriving within a moon cycle. This will bolster our force of 100 against the 500 soldiers of Mornington. He has also promised a might diversion to diminish their forces. Sir Chapman is a good commander when his army marches, but he likes to assess situations thoroughly before acting. With an army on the way, we can finally risk being seen as we expand Octonia.
A new kingdom in the Empire. Only cost a troublesome daughter and 1% of my army.
With the arrival of more ships from the Olufian Empire, Octanaris had swollen to a new size. Now able to accommodate Murphy's 100 soldiers and accepting new citizens from across the continent.
I am Princess Azalan, the new Queen of Octonia. My father's forces are just 3 weeks away, and Octonia is flourishing under the rule of my husband.
In the distance, what is this new settlement on our coast? Tomorrow my soldiers and I will travel there to meet with these new settlers.
But while Murphy's new city shone in the sun, the people of Aras were the first to meet Olaf's men.
I understand now. I could not have my own kingdom, and so I built my own, the kingdom of Octonia.
And when your kingdom grows, Murphy, you will suspend us between the mountain and the sea. We know you will grow tired of this and come for us eventually. Hand us your crown, your punishment will be light. Within a few winters, you can return here and live with us as a soldier.
Thou art no knight, but a craven knave, unfit to polish the rusted shields of true kings. Thy sword is but a tool of treachery, wielded in the service of a false king unworthy of a throne. My father's force of 2,000 will replace your dog-headed king with my husband.
A force of 2,000?
Strike now, if you dare, chapman, or call your precious bears, if Olaf hasn't reached them first.
In the late evening, beacons between Aras and Mornington began to light up in flame. The beacon atop the floating mountains of Karavaka was the first to light, but it was too far away to see the beacon in Aras. The beacon within the greater Mornshire wetlands followed soon after. With this in view, the beacon of Sister Mountain followed in a brilliant blaze. And so, the Mornington beacon came to life, signaling that the Aras were in danger. The whole town, well, perhaps a city, now it has a cathedral, stared up at the beacon, knowing the rumors were true and their Ursine allies were in danger. The king flew off in the direction of Aras. He even did a cool loop around the floating mountains of Karavaka, but even without this loop, he still would have been too late. The entirety of Aras was engulfed in flames, but those who lit them could not be found anywhere on the horizon. The flames were fast, unlike anything that could be found in nature. The king sat upon an acacia tree and searched for survivors whom he could pluck from the flames, but none could be found. Without any explanation, the ground began to shake, and the entirety of the village capsized into the ground. As the sun set on the Ara plateau, the home of the Aras was gone, as if by magic. As the only survivors from Aras arrived to Mornington, they were greeted by the king and Sir Chapman.
Welcome, we have prepared a comfortable home for you and your people. Whomever is leader among you must come with us. We must discuss important matters.
There were so many soldiers, enough to stand shoulder to shoulder and encircle your city. They stood like statues. Even as we fired upon them, they moved like golems.
How did they attack?
They did not attack. They simply turned around and left as quickly as they came. As they disappeared, we 10 bears followed them through the jungle. As we followed, we felt a strong heat upon our backs. and we saw our home burning in the distance. No reason, no explanation. And then the ground shook. We came straight here. There was no point wading through what could only be ashes.
Just as the final bears had settled in, shadowy figures arrived on the horizon.
If our charts are correct, that is the vile settlement of the Dawn worshippers up ahead. To our right is our owned man. Begin siege preparations before the rest of the army arrives. I am looking forward to battle once more if we can consider this meagre garrison a battle at all.
Sir Chapman stood atop the cathedral and counted at least 7 centurions.
700 men ready to join our force. That makes 800 to their 500. If not for their walls and Sir Chapman's sword hand, we would win without the rest of the Olufians.
With the Olufian forces amassing on the edges of Mornington, Sir Chapman gathered all the leaders atop the cathedral.
The army is here. They have a combined force of 800. Our scouts estimate another 1,300 on the way.
It is hopeless to count when they have powers beyond their soldiers. If we wish to avoid the same fate as the Aras siege, we should surrender at once.
Surrender is not an option. They must pay for what they did to our people. We should find a way to beat them.
Your people can be counted on 2 hands bare. Do not risk all our lives on vengeance.
I'm not one to shy from a fight, but we are hopelessly outmatched. And from Taterzen's knowledge of the continent, the 2,000 will only be a small fraction of Olaf's forces.
We have 3 elytras. We also have an unoccupied wizard's tower. With a mage, we could do some real damage.
Unable to reach a conclusion and suffering a mighty storm, the leaders returned home to await their demise. As the storm raged on for the 6th day, the rest of Olaf's forces had arrived. Olaf refused an audience with Murphy, but demanded each of his highest-ranking knights be given a home in Octonia. Murphy and his troops were not allowed into the siege camp of the Olufians, and so had to take refuge from the rain underneath the trees. A large troop presence was seen to be guarding the caves behind Octonia, a strange choice for a location with no tactical benefit. Many of the civilians living in Octonia were spotted being led to the caves during the night, but did not return home in the morning. Frustrated with Olaf's secrecy, Murphy snuck out of Octonia and into the Olufian war camp. What he saw in the caves was unlike anything he had seen before. A secret weapon, for sure. But as he wandered the camp, he heard the chatter of the Olufians.
Where you been, Golif?
Shipping. That ship with the new folks coming in tomorrow.
The traitor will thank Olaf for that. Would have been ruling over a graveyard for months if it wasn't coming.
They'll be getting a morning that ain't so good. I heard right. Them mages can make another little surprise for every 100 people they use.
100? Hard enough to get 5 of them into those caves.
As he returned home, he heard the words of the Olufians ringing in his head. He gazed at the full moon and turned to see the sun disappearing from him.
That's my home. That's my home.
As sunset approached, King Olaf had moved his troops into position. It was clear to Sir Chapman and the king that the attack would begin soon.
Aggleton, old friend, we're not far from sundown, and I'm going to need your finest work.
Aye, Chapman. It's been a while, mate. Whatever you need, my forge is here.
Whatever you can do with this metal, I've heard it forges brilliantly.
2 swords for you here, sir, but they're going to need names.
Another time, perhaps, but thank you for your work.
Sunwarden and Daybreaker, then, can't carry a sword without naming it.
There are bigger matters at stake here, old friend, than naming swords.
Have you made your final assessment, Sir Chapman?
We have plans to evacuate the villagers soon. We're finished, but not without a fight.
A terrible shame indeed. Was I a younger man, I'd be standing with you on these walls.
Thank you, Tattersson. Go now. It's time for us to take our positions. My liege, I've had a sword forged for you. It won't save us, but it'll certainly make it harder for them. Positions!
Garrick, sound the first horn. Have the mages ready their attack.
My king, the Octonarians are nowhere to be seen on this battlefield. Do they think we'll do all the work for them?
Oh, useless sun watchers. We don't much need them anyway. Tell me, Garrick, is that a second horn sounding?
Yes, my lord. Wasn't one of ours.
Chapman!
Archers, draw!
Chapman, listen! Chapman! They have mages. They have mages. They're using people to soul summon.
The mages needed only 2 more souls.
Dracomagus, extendis surge, animas cascap, et potentia manifestas.
What are you doing here?
I wanted to rule my home, Chapman, to be its protector and its source of strength, to protect my people.
Always a tyrant, Murphy. Why are you standing against your new king?
Because he'll burn the people I wanted to protect.
We can't stand against an army that large.
You couldn't stand against mine without the pillagers and an army of bears either. I have 100 men. They have 2,000. But I don't see any bears in their ranks.
Take this sword and this elytra.
Why?
Well, compared to yours, my sword arm needs no help in battle. And we have an elytra spare. Makes sense to give it to our 3rd strongest fighter.
3rd? What's its name? I'm not using some nameless sword.
I guess that is important. It's called Daybreaker.
You and the king need to handle their mages and their summons, or nothing will stop them.
The same mages that are behind 2,000 men.
You can fly. Just hop over them.
I guess that makes sense.
Don't think we have long until that beast comes out. Do your part.
Bring me fireworks. Archers, hold this line, and fire the ballista.
The traitor has managed it twice in one sun cycle. Begin the charge and free the beast.
Diripe et urbe iorum exure.
And just like that, the mages' summon was completed. They drew on the great beast from the end and infused it with their dark magic. The ground began to shake violently as their beast was transported into the world. The battle had begun. As the dragon hovered above the city, the king soared into the skies after the beast. Sir Chapman flew in the opposite direction to meet the mages before they could summon a second dragon.
Hello there.
He fought valiantly against the mages and their few guards. Thankfully, the mages were still drained from the summoning. As he fought, the prisoners looked on hopefully. Able to defeat the guards, Sir Chapman sheathed his sword and captured the last surviving mage. The dragon was hovering above the city. Its soul was not used to this new body. As its large wings beat down upon the city, every single villager looked up in fear. They could see the defenses burning in the distance, and the dragon could cast a light fire upon them at any moment. This dragon seemed nervous to approach the city, its great reptilian eyes watching the king, and its giant green wings beating to stay as far from the king as possible. The dragon eventually swooped down into the city. It flew straight over and onto Fortress Isle. There it lay, waste to the ancient birch forest, turning the entire island into an ashy blaze. Now contented and familiar with its newly acquired power, it set off downriver into the heart of the city. Its beating wings threw a harsh current into the river, and it lay waste to all the farmlands in Canalis. The great dragon propelled itself to the very top of the cathedral, and once its claws had gained purchase on the edge of the tower, it began to rain down a blazing fire upon the entire city. Chunks of molten granite shot down from the cathedral's intricate masonry and lit raging infernos in every place they landed. It descended from the cathedral, narrowly missing the gardens, and began to terrorize the people in their homes, the clock tower and watchtower, and eventually the castle. The blinding light reflecting from the statue enraged the dragon. It burnt the statue with such vigor that the steel simply melted away and dripped into the canal beneath with a sharp hiss. Even those hiding in the cathedral were not free from the terror. The dragon burst through the windows and wandered the hall as if it were its own. The dragon had so far evaded the king's engagements, but was becoming predictable. It would circle the cathedral, attack, and then come to rest after each burn. The king was ready to try a new strategy. Instead of approaching the dragon's sword drawn, he was going to accelerate past the dragon as fast as possible, draw his sword, and attempt to drag the sword through the dragon. Each and every time this was tried, the dragon would repel the king with a harsh burst of flame, which was ruining every building within its path. Meanwhile, Murphy was defending a hill before the city walls. His men were outnumbered 20 to 1. Each and every time he downed a green cloak, another was there to fill the gap. But each time he lost his footing, he continued to press harder. Olaf's archers fired volley after volley of arrows into the crowds. Olaf understood that he had a much larger force, and so was not concerned about casualties on his side if he could guarantee a shot on the Octonarians. The Octonarians did not bother with lines or formations. With such few numbers, any attempt to form one would be swiftly encircled by a spearhead formation. Instead, they relied on their light armor and used their greater agility as their weapon. Each ran randomly around the top of the hill. The Olufians were exhausted from climbing the hill in their heavy armor and under fire, and so the Octonarians were able to run circles around them. They struck opportunistically and hard. But whenever an Octonarian lost their footing, they were quickly swarmed by the 20 armor-clad warriors chasing them. The king began to soar higher, and use gravity to bolster the speed granted by his propulsion. The dragon couldn't dispatch fire quick enough, and the initial light bursts were almost always extinguished by the wind rushing against the king. The dragon was bleeding heavily and was no longer as agile. The king could fight him on the ground and then soar away with his self-mending elytra. The king was able to lure the enraged dragon into the arena, and much like Murphy once had, the dragon was met by a crowd of pillagers. With a torrent of crossbow bolts, the dragon was on its last legs, and the king swooped in to pierce the dragon one final time with his sword. Chapman began to negotiate with his captured mage.
I am not loyal to Olaf. Simply I serve anywhere I am needed. I will trade for my life.
Use your dark magic. Undo the damage.
I would need a tremendous amount of souls in order to work this magic.
Take mine and fix the damage.
Honourable, but you're simply not good enough. But I can feel a great soul about to be released elsewhere. Perhaps I can use his.
Olaf had expected an easy fight, but a single Octonarian swordsman was without question worth 10 of any other. The attrition proved too much for the Olufians, and demoralized, they began to flee.
Too many arrows.
The battle had raged through the night, and Murphy was undone by the many arrows he had taken.
One last sunrise, Murph. This one's yours.
Is that it?
Every back in that town feels a warm sun. Without you, they wouldn't. Did you need more from this life?
It's just over so quickly.
Well, we can sit here and watch the rest of the story together.
I guess the most important part of any story is the person who's watching it.
Now you get it. Why else would it be written?
With the flames extinguished and the kingdom restored, Chapman spoke with the mage.
You kept your end of the bargain and restored our home. You may leave now.
I would rather stay. There is much more I can do here, and you seem like an honest people.
Do you think that the people would want you to stay after the damage your dragon did?
That was King Olaf's dragon. I serve him no longer. Should he return, do you think that the people might prefer my absence? Or a dragon of their own to defend them?
I have seen to it myself that a return of King Olaf will not occur, but the continent has been plunged into chaos without his empire. I recognize your point that we may need to defend ourselves in the distant future. You may stay, but I want no spell, nor incantation to leave this tower without the approval of the king, or I bid you farewell, mage.
Mage, call me by my name, Solara Nightshade. Inform me of the bear's progress when you can.
In the far distance, beyond the aqueduct and beyond the neighboring village, Olaf, Princess Azalan, and a retinue of guards were traveling back to the center of the Olufian Empire.
Move it, daughter. We must make haste. The continent is imploding in rebellion. We must return home and restore order.
The great continent of Virelda was in rebellion. With the Olufians appearing weak for the first time in a century, it had split into 7 pieces. Knowing that the Olufians would seek to make an example of Mornington, Sir Chapman assembled a force capable of truly undermining the Olufians for good. Not only a loyal force, but a force hungry for retribution against the Olufians. The remaining 10 Aras each tracked King Olaf, waiting to exact their revenge.
Good morning, my lord. We have received word from the bears. Good news, but troubling also.
We received a head, or at least half. The other half was sent to Olafsson.
A provocation for sure.
The bears also informed us by means of letter that they no longer will be staying here. They have dedicated themselves to finishing off the Olufians.
There are only 10 of them.
Foolish to underestimate. Those 10 bears are enough to cripple any. The Aras each are formidable, despite having remained at peace for 3 centuries.
Quite. I can see you studied your histories in Arborith.
Alas, with the continent fracturing, this will be the final stroke for the Olufians. We must prepare for a new order. We have had many requests for protection from our neighbors.
We should not involve ourselves.
Too late. Without our doing, 13 cities have already pledged loyalty to us. They are calling us the Dawn Protectorate. I've commissioned our painters to create a war map in the gatehouse. My lord, we have established communication with the 13 cities supporting us. We have called leaders from each in order to form a Witan. They shall arrive soon, many by sea, so this harbor will be of great importance in welcoming our guests.
Good news for sure, and the polished sign should set a great impression.
We have also reached out to the other kingdoms on the continent. Almost all have ignored us. Only 2 are openly hostile. But Valkyria's pirate king, Lander Stone, has informed us he will be visiting. Sir Chapman, once we have measure of friend and foe, we must develop a strategy to secure our position.
Valkyria controls the seas on both sides of the continent. If we can form an alliance, then geography alone will secure our kingdom.
I'm not sure what you mean. Next time we meet, the map should be complete, so we'll meet at the gatehouse.
Sir Chapman, Judge Treason, and the King gathered in the gatehouse to review their situation on a map.
Mornington sits here on the eastern side of the continent.
We are exposed to the east and west to great oceans. Both are controlled by Valkyria. They control all sea warfare. Without their aid or neutrality, we're finished.
They control the internal sea by Velkiport. For some time, Xandor and Olafum have been attempting to take over Velkiport through soft power. Aiding them would only ensure Valkyria loses control of the internal sea.
Lake Ball is our southernmost vassal. All of the Dawn Protectorate sits in this section here. If Eldros remains neutral or joins us, we can secure everything north with fortifications across the land bridge. We can secure the entire peninsula with the support of Valkyria. Perhaps even dig a canal to make things easier for them.
Valkyria and Eldros, unlikely to see such different peoples on one side, but it could work.
She was the dusk, my fleeting grace, a spectre soft in youth's embrace. But I, unformed, the waves did chase, and lost her in the tide's cold race. Now king I stand in storm's domain, with power vast, yet heartsick pain. For what is rule when love is slain, and only empty seas remain? Oh, the sea, she claimed my soul, crushed it to fit her ruthless role. For kings are born from broken men, and I am hers, to the bitter end.
On the coast of Mornington's new harbour, the 14 leaders of the Dawn Protectorate gathered for a pivotal Witan. Theron Dawnwood of Ensgate stood with calm authority. Lyra Briarshade of Thornreach studied the others, while Lord Cedric Silverwell of Silverford and Lady Alawan, Brightbrook, exchanged knowing glances. They squabbled over trivial matters until the pirate king Lander Stone arrived on the shore, refusing to leave the sea.
I won't leave the sea, for she is my guide, but I've come to speak where the landfolk reside. Your ways are your own, and peace I extend. Let's talk and find common ground to defend. I'm not stepping on that, though. Gave that up a long time ago, mate.
Okay, this guy is just weird. Lander Stone requested to meet with the leaders of Mornington in private.
You do not seem an imperial sort to me, so I have no disdain for you. But you have made a powerful enemy in the Olufians. We share this common enemy. They have been trying to take Velkiport for some time. If you will stand against them on land, I will stand against them on the sea. They will be unable to invade you from the water.
We intend to build fortifications and cut off the north from the south, just below Lake Ball. We have been unable to contact Eldros. I fear we can't fight them.
Eldros? Have any of you ever met an Eldrosian?
No.
I once tried to go to Eldros. I quickly learned to dodge axes. If their mountains turned into volcanoes, they'd still be up there claiming it was the perfect temperature. No chance they leave that mountain to invade you. Although I did meet an Eldrosi in a bar during the Silfaran War. They can drink. Anyway, so my favourite Silfaran battle was the conquest of Ever.
With the Witan reaching a conclusion and the Dawn Protectorate established into a formal alliance, Landerstone and the king formalized a new truce that would shape the balance of power within the continent. The Sun-Sea Pact was formed. Mornington would fortify the throat of the continent with a giant wall. Able to protect the north from the Olufians, Valkyria would sink any military ship that attempts to stray too far from harbour. The Sun-Sea Pact, however, was not as strong as it seemed, for beneath Mount Olaf, the tallest mountain in the continent, sits a mining town known as the Heap. Within the Heap is a secret that could defeat the Pirate King once and for all. Every single mason of the Sun-Sea Pact was now singularly focused on constructing a wall along the throat of the continent. With the wall completed, the north would be secure. Every single set of hands worked tirelessly to bring about peace and security for the Dawn Protectorate. But such a flurry of action did not go unnoticed by the Olufian spies. The massive project was first noticed by a trader from Xander, and once his king was informed, word was quickly sent to Olafsson IV. King Olafsson had spies sent to discern the nature and progression of the construction project, and through this, he was able to discover that the people of the Dawn Protectorate were working with the Pirate King Landerstone. He would have to find a way to break this alliance, and fast.
My lord, I know I stand before you, the great King Olafsson IV. My lord, I know I must not gaze upon you, but I bring worrying news from the Xandor. My lord, I know myself not worthy of your reply, but I shall tell you the news. The Pirate King stands with the dog-headed king. They seek a path of separatism. My lord, I know my news would unsettle a man. My lord, I know you are more than just man, so I will share a plan that us weaker man can execute to destroy the Pirate King. My lord, I know you look down on the plans of us humble men. You are interested only in story and legend. So I will tell you the legend of the Pirate King Landerstone, and how we can continue this story to his ruin. My lord, I know you are truly generous for looking upon me without taking my life. I thank you for your ear. 25 years ago, Landerstone was a humble dockworker in Codsport. The Silfarans invaded Codsport, and on the first day they slaughtered people in neighbouring farms. In this slaughter, they killed the young Lander's love. My lord, her death burnt a fire within him, and he led a band of retired sailors to steal a Silfaran ship. During the boarding, he stole a great trident from the captain, and with that one ship, he was able to destroy the entire Silfaran fleet. 30 ships burnt that day by his hand. My lord, he knew that if he had been stronger, that he could have saved his love on that first day of invasion. Since then, he has never stepped foot on land. But Admiral Bloodroot, the leader of the fleet, never returned home. He is in hiding in the Heap. Should Landerstone know this, we could draw him to wherever Bloodroot stands, giving us an opportunity to take him down. My lord, I will find Admiral Bloodroot.
The wall was midway through construction. Both the king and Landerstone were well pleased with the progress being made by the masons, but they were unaware of the power that the Olufian Empire was about to acquire over Lander. Their armies were already on the march to the Heap to root out Admiral Bloodroot. If they achieved their goal, they would be able to lure the infamous and swift Landerstone into an early demise. Would the Dawn Protectorate be able to stand alone without the aid of the Valkyrian fleet? As for the wall, it would be completed soon. It stood 8 meters from the foundations and was easy to fortify. If they drew on only half the northern troops, they would be able to guard the wall's entire length. The Olufian Empire was nearing the heap. They had only one mission: locate and capture Admiral Bloodroot. They did not care what cost would be incurred by the people of the heap. They would find him. The people of the heap are the poorest and worst treated in the whole continent. In the eyes of the Olufians, they are simply numbers which map to resource extraction.
Keep marching, men. We must arrive with haste and subdue these unwashed dogs. Once we root out the Admiral, we will be gone as quickly as we came. Accept no disrespect. Should anyone question us, we have them identify, and if they aren't our guy, we put them down. We'll let the rest survive if they kneel and wait for our work to be done.
Will the good people of the heap accept these tyrants searching and raiding their homes?
You know, Chapman, I think we may be in the employ of a madman. I do wonder what Landerstone will think of this. He's certainly not the king of the skies.
I want to know what King Olafsson IV is going to think of this. Maybe quite the surprise for him.
His face will be quite the picture, I should imagine.
You both seem so surprised. Did I not tell the pair of you that I could give us dragons of our own? Perhaps I'm worth keeping around after all, Chapman.
The Olufians had arrived at the heap and began collecting up the residents above ground. They processed hundreds of miners, checking and searching for Admiral Bloodroot. Any miner that refused to be rounded up was dispatched quickly by the soldiers. By the third night, the Olufians had found the Admiral hiding in a small hovel. The hovel was damp and was a small coal seam before it was constructed. One brave miner had seen the Olufians down in the mines and climbed out through a shallow ravine. He escaped the boundaries of the heap and knew that he must warn others that the Olufians were hurting the people of the heap. Who better to warn than the Dawn Protectorate? He had heard rumors of this kingdom standing up to the Olufians triumphantly. The swordfish was ready for combat. The crew was trained, but it was still lacking a commander.
Excellent work. We can now respond quickly, wherever the Protectorate needs our support.
This magic caused quite a bit of chaos, and it's all I can do for now. With a college of mages, we could rival the power of Arborith and build an entire fleet of these.
An entire fleet would certainly extend our power across the entire continent. As soon as Olafsson sees this in action, he'll have Arborith build him a fleet.
Could we disable Arborith's magic with a surgical strike?
They have a mana pool in the center of their city. If we were to hit it, they would be unable to summon without souls. But if we do that, it would certainly escalate the tension into an all-out war.
One of us is going to strike first. Let it be us.
That's overzealous for a man who's never fought a war.
We'll sit and wait then. When they use that mana pool to send 100 dragons over the horizon, you can give the king all your war advice. I'm sure that will keep the flames from his elytra.
Treason was mulling over his recent rejection at the bar when he was approached by a strong and rough figure, a forge worker named Abelhealth.
I heard you want to give them mages a taste of their own medicine, eh?
I proposed it, but alas, they did not agree with my fervor.
Whole bunch of us want revenge. They killed my wife. Enough of us to muscle onto that ship. If you can lead us to Arborith, we'll drop something explosive into that mana pool for you.
It's treason, but someone has to take the first shot. Let's do it.
Abelhealth and the victims of the dragon muscled their way onto the swordfish at night, defeating the 3 guards. The swordfish lifted off and beelined to Arborith.
This is the right thing to do. It must be done. I am no different to Murphy. I love this city. I may be a traitor, but I also cannot stand by and watch this city destroyed.
A stranger approached the city, exhausted by his travels. What he told the guards warranted an immediate audience with the king.
I am the leader of the heap. I come to you with grave news. My people are being harmed as they search our mines.
What are they searching for?
Some admiral. His name starts with blood. Silfaran.
I know of no such admiral. Lander will know. Summon him.
Call not the seas, king. Who are you to dare the depths? Waves bow, not to fools.
Poems again? This man says they've destroyed his home looking for an admiral. Know him?
Pull me away from my rum for this. What's his name, boy?
Admiral Bloodrot or something. Silfaran, apparently.
No time to explain. We're going to the heap.
The swordfish will be the fastest method. Will get us there 3 weeks sooner than the seas.
Where is it?
Who was talking about using it?
Oh no.
Here it comes. Looks to be in bad shape.
It should still fly to the heap and back. We'll get going as soon as it touches down.
Judge Treason, you were specifically ordered against these actions. As such, you are under arrest.
I accept my punishment, whatever it may be. I have acted dutifully to protect our home.
Bring him.
The swordfish hurtled towards the heap as fast as it could.
We're not far now.
Chapman, I'm truly sorry for betraying your trust. Just know I only wanted to keep our home safe.
I'm sorry we came to blows on this Treason. There will have to be consequences for this, but I understand your heart beats along with ours.
Hearts beating in tandem? What could you possibly know of that boy? This old fool has kept me from my vengeance. I shared a heart once boy, and Bloodroot tore it asunder. They say salt spices a wound. My blood is the salt of the sea. Now I am a ventricle alone, dancing to a beat I will never know again. The thrash of the waves is the closest I can come to a heartbeat.
So we're here on some revenge mission from your past.
Hardly seems a wise overextension.
You two seem to beat in tandem, although this old fool apparently shares some sun-worshipping heart with the pair of you. So if you want to see a wise overextension, I can place my sword against the traitor's neck.
Flee.
Put the sword
I can
down.
still be of service to you. Rainer and I handled a cartel only last week. I can return to being a humble judge, an attorney even. Please do not do this. I was only trying to help.
Ah, now you understand. You could have saved him, but you didn't. You just stood there, like the reasonable man you are. I lost my Amelie, and nothing will stand in the way of my revenge. Bloodroot is within my grasp. Once we land, I will have my vengeance. If you get in my way, I will cut you down.
Would your Amelie want you to backstab people like this?
He was a traitor. Stay out of my way and your oceans will still be safe.
And here we have it, the heap.
No wonder the Olufians are so rich. They take it all from here.
All right, sundogs, fetch me Bloodroot.
Having a sword doesn't put you in charge.
But being the pirate king does.
They searched for hours until they finally found the admiral.
The pirate king Landerstone. We meet again. Never in my whole life have I seen such a fine captain.
You killed my Amelie. Your compliments mean nothing. I will have you strung up in Velkiport for all to see.
Amelie? Boy, I retired after you sunk my fleet. I didn't want to play the naval game with you on the seas. No fun anymore.
She was a farm girl from the town neighbouring Codsport. You went in and raised the whole village, people included.
Ha ha! You daft sea dog. You mean to tell me your rise to glory has just been a misguided revenge mission? The Olufians, long before you were born, boy, had set up farms producing potatoes. That new crop was crippling our agriculture. With the cheap potatoes, our farmers couldn't compete. So we hatched a plan. Travel to the Vireldan mainland and offer the serfs their own land in Silfara. We fixed the potato problem rather quickly. So this Amelie was almost certainly convinced by her parents to move there. And she probably has inherited a sizable farmstead by now.
I must travel to Silfara.
You harmed thousands over all this. They won't let you near. Boy.
Have the Velkiport fleet meet me there. We are taking Silfara.
So you look like those new sun friends I keep hearing about. How'd you like a captain for that new ship? Won't have any dispute from the Pirate King as he's ramming his ships into a blockade built because of him.
We can discuss terms for that. We have a fleet.
You can come back to Mornington with us, where we can show you the Dawn Zephyrium.
What a sad story. A man so in love that upon the loss of that love, He has become a feared pirate. He did all of that, and to so many people. And yet the one thing he wanted was out there the whole time, living among the people he was trying to harm.
I'm not used to you having emotions. It's quite nice.
As the gang arrived at the surface, the king was approached by a coal miner.
Please, sir, help us. We have nothing but our coal. When the Olufians come back, they'll punish us all again.
Sire, we cannot help these people. Even when the Dawn Zephyrium is finished, we would not be able to project our power this far.
Still, we must try. The Olufian Empire runs on the labour of these people. We can help them and reduce the Olufians' might at the same time.
We should be expecting a response to Treason's Arborith attack any day now. And we're going to need the swordfish both repaired and at home to defend against that. We can no longer count on Lander Stone if he's engaging Silfara.
There are only 100 people here. Let's gather them up and bring them to Mornington. It'll be a squeeze at first, but they can take refuge in the cathedral until we can house them.
To Mornington, the people of the heap will be no more. Just more Mornington folk like the bears were. We are a people.
We cannot protect you here without falling ourselves. Come with us. Perhaps you can return when we have won the war.
Haha, when you've won the war, our babes will be men and drafted into your army before that day comes.
I've got it. We can take you to Lake Ball. The people of Lake Ball are close to us and almost all wish to come to Mornington. You could make it your own, and your mining skills would be invaluable for the wall.
Again, another trade for you to benefit from. We heard you destroyed Arborith. Why should we even trust you?
We did not plan that. It was a rogue actor. He was. Killed for it even.
So if we disagree with you, we get put to the blade. Perhaps we take our chances with the Olufians instead.
We cannot make this about what we want.
You really are developing a heart, aren't you?
I think we've both changed quite a bit from when we first met. Without Treason and with more of the king's silence, I'm glad you're here.
Oi, sun-starers. Surprised you're not blind. Staring at that thing all day. Stop your yapping and talk to us.
We have discussed all the possibilities. I don't think there is a way we can help you here, and you refuse to travel to somewhere we can help you. We will try to help where possible, but we cannot guarantee your safety.
So they came here and ransacked our home to find a man to hurt you, and yet you want to push us aside.
The silence was thick and potent. The coal dust in the air felt like a cool mist under this tension. And at that moment, the Dog King spoke. He proposed a solution, one that terrified all. But like the laces of a boot, his explanation zigzagged from point to point, pulling a plan together. Chapman and the mage looked on in horror, which, after a turn, faded into an acceptance. The people of the heap looked on in disbelief, a look which, when placed upon reason, placed hope in the people's hearts for the first time in generations.
So it's decided.
Do you think he can handle it?
There is no one else that could.
I will not do it. You are my king. I swore an oath to you. Yes, this lets them be their own people, keeps them out of harm's way, lets the swordfish return home, and takes the wealth from the Olufians. But you are the king of Mornington, not me. You cannot go with them. Can you at least support me? I won't be able to do it alone. A vow of loyalty to show this isn't a trick, so you'll be there with them forever? If this is an order, I will do my duty. I will wear the crown. But I'm not happy to lose my only true friend.
I woke up cold and out of touch.
And by the power of dawn, I name you King Chapman of Mornington. All rise.
But if I could walk those streets today, would you still?
You don't have to say anything, old boy. That pirate was a menace. I've seen that Amelie. She isn't even a looker.
I'm glad to see you, old friend.
Ha ha.
Stepped on that airplane and let it take me from your side. On the last day of July, in a cloudy southern sky. Will the rain ever stop?
A king needs an air chappie.
King Chapman Solara Nightshade, I now pronounce you husband and wife.
Will the rain ever stop, reminding me of you? nothing I could do but sit and watch the fire and rain of bullets fall on you. Oh, if God will send his angels down and wash the blood from
We'll get 'em, me lord. Only a matter of time now.
Will the rain ever stop? Will the rain ever stop? Will the rain ever stop reminding me of you?
The soldiers couldn't be happier. They're all beaming with smiles.
From the first time it rained on me.
Good day. Must I still call you king? If truth be told, you're a great friend to me.
Tragedy. Will the rain ever stop?
Oh, Amelie, I will find you, my love.
Will the rain ever stop? Will the rain ever stop reminding me of you? Orange Avenue.
Welcome to the Faldrim Vale.
And so there we have it, the Tale of Mornington. And if you want to continue along with this story, why not join us for the new and far improved series of MorningCraft? With 14 episodes in already, and with new characters and stories, it's a whole lot of positive fun. See you there.